Hi, my name is Angi Chasensky, and today I'm going to talk to you about what are attachment styles. This is a webinar to bring awareness to attachment styles and how they impact us. So what are attachment styles? Attachment is defined as a lasting psychological connectedness between human beings. Bowlby, 1969. This can also be known as affectional or emotional bond. Our caregivers laid down the foundations for our attachment style during our very early years. Caregivers vary in their levels of sensitivity and responsiveness. Not all infants attach to caregivers in the same way. Attachment defines a child's emotional stability, social interactions, emotional and cognitive development as they grow into adulthood. Factors including trauma, socioeconomic conditions, and environmental factors contribute to the development of the child's attachment style. As you can see in this image on the right-hand side, the intersectionality between the social, environmental, economic, the sustainability right there in the center. It can either sustain positive attachment styles or it can reinforce negative attachment styles. Attachment in adulthood relates to how we build relationships, how we communicate, repair, and relate to others in our relationships, how we develop and maintain intimacy. Adult attachment addresses our ability to connect and feel satisfied in our relationships. As a baby, if our parents or caregivers, they comfort us when we are distressed and interact with us regularly and predictably, then we learn that we're loved and cared for. We learn to feel secure. We learn that we are not alone in this or on our own in this big, scary world. That makes us feel safe enough to go and explore the world, because when something causes us to feel worried or anxious, we trust there's an adult there to back us up. Assuming this bonding process is successful, you'll develop the simplest attachment style, and that is the secure attachment. These are children who know they can rely on adults to care for them in a healthy way. They're more likely to be better at self-regulation, learn more easily and quickly, show more persistence and grit, succeed at creative tasks, and become part of strong social networks. But here's the thing. What's surprising is how few people fall into the secure attachment category. A study done in 2009 found that only 56% of adults could form secure attachments. Now, as a side note, I'm curious what a study now, especially after the pandemic, would find of the adults that feel that they have secure attachments. So a study in 2009, 56% of adults could form secure attachments. So let's put that in perspective. In a group of 30 people, only 17 could be placed in the secure attachment group. So what categories do the other 13 individuals fall into? One of them is insecure avoidant attachment style. Some children didn't have adults who cared for them or that were in the role to respectfully care and provide secure attachment for them. The bond of trust didn't form correctly. Most likely, this is because their parents were emotionally unresponsive when they were very young. For instance, their parents may have, one, ignored their children's emotional needs, or rejected the child when they were hurt, scared, or cried for help, and additionally, possibly encouraged the child to be independent before they are developmentally ready. The child then learns to suppress their normal instincts to seek out their parents at times of stress. They learn at an early age, the only person I can rely on is me. I have to take care of myself. And some may only focus on their own needs, leading to ignoring the feelings of others. Symptoms of insecure avoidant attachment in children. One, they are self-reliant to a fault. To the extent that needing an adult's help may make them actually feel insecure. They kind of take on that survival tendency or personality or persona. They tend to suffer from high levels of anxiety and harbor a strong fear of failure. They don't communicate when they're upset or stressed. They can appear withdrawn or isolated. They don't outwardly show any desire for affection or closeness, and they have a strong need for choice and control. Insecure avoidant children form about 23% of the population. So now let's put that stat into perspective. In a group of 30 people, only 7 would be placed in the insecure avoidant group. Sometimes behaviors related to this attachment can get confused with symptoms of autism or ADHD. So here's some display characteristics. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the attachment style. So let's take a look at secure, and then the first column is as a child. So if you have that secure attachment and as a child, you'll be able to separate from your parent. You'll seek comfort from parents when frightened. The return of parents is met with positive emotions, and you prefer parents to strangers. Now, as you grow and develop into an adult, if you came from a secure attachment, you will be able to, or have the capacity to build trusting and lasting relationships, tend to have good self-esteem. You're comfortable with sharing feelings with friends and partners, and you seek out social support when needed. Now, the next attachment style is avoidant. So as a child, if you grew and developed in an avoidant attachment style with your caregivers or parents, you may avoid your parents. You may not seek out or seek much comfort or contact from parents, and you show little or no preference between parent and stranger. Now, as you grow and develop into an adult, if you developed as a child in an avoidant attachment style, you may have problems with intimacy. You may invest little emotion in social and romantic relationships, and unable or unwilling to share thoughts and feelings with others. So the third attachment style is ambivalent. Now, as a child, you may be wary of strangers, become greatly distressed with the parent when the parent leaves, and do not appear to be comforted by the return of the parent. So it's very ambivalent. It's either positive or negative or somewhere in between. Not really sure exactly which way that the child will react or respond. Now, if you have this type of attachment style as a child, as you develop into an adult, you will be more likely to be reluctant to become close to others, worry that your partner does not truly love them, and become very distraught when a relationship ends. Now, with the anxious or ambivalent attachment style, children with this are often distrustful of adults. This is because they never learned to predict how adults will respond to their needs. This may be because their parents were inconsistent in how they responded to the child as a baby, or sometimes when the baby cried, the parent was attentive and nurturing. But at other times, the parent presented as unavailable, intrusive, dismissive, or insensitive. It was ambivalent, or it was unpredictable. For the child, this unpredictability led to confusion and a lack of trust in adults, so they never learned to form secure relationships. Symptoms of insecure and ambivalent attachment in children, and this is not all-encompassing, but there can be a tendency to be physically clinging to their parents, find it hard to concentrate on academic tasks, engage in persistent attention-seeking behavior. And so these last 2 bullets, I think it's very important how you could see there could be intersectionality with ADHD. So truly the attachment style that the child has developed in, if it's insecure and ambivalent, some of these behaviors look a lot like ADHD or maybe hyperactive behaviors in general, or avoidant dismissive, things along those lines. The child may engage in persistent attention-seeking behavior. So pay close attention to what the adults are doing, because they, again, don't trust what to expect or predict next. A poor understanding of cause and effect can be prevalent. They may find it difficult to learn from systems of rewards and consequences. And they may have a negative view on self, the world, and how they interact and their place in it. The insecure ambivalent attachment style includes roughly 20% of the population. Now let's put that percentage into perspective. So let's say if there's a group of 30 people, only 6 would be placed in the insecure avoidant group. So the next attachment style we're going to take a look at is the disorganized attachment. These children often display controlling and manipulative behavior. This form of attachment can develop because of abuse, trauma, and/or neglect by adults in early childhood. Here, the parent or caregiver's behavior was so unpredictable in the child's early years, they never learned to feel safe. In fact, they may even view their parent as a source of fear rather than comfort. Note, this style can also occur when the child's primary caregiver suddenly disappears. Symptoms of disorganized and controlling attachment in children. They seek the control of relationships with peers or with adults that have a limited range of emotions. They have a poor attention span due to high levels of stress, which may delay learning abilities. They experience high levels of anxiety. They often seek to mask with power behaviors or quickly become overwhelmed by their emotions. They resist support or encouragement from adults. They are hypervigilant or scanning their environments for safety of adults and other children. They may become very compliant and helpful when meeting a new adult, but then completely change their behavior. Disorganized and controlling children form about 1% of the population. And actually, again, the studies from 2009, I would lean into that being a higher percentage pre and actually post-COVID. So I think there needs to be a little bit more attention to studying the effects from the ACEs and trauma on the children during their developmental stages. So let's put that in perspective. In a group of 30 people, maybe one individual or one child would be placed in the insecure avoidant group. Strongly expressed insecure and unstable attachment styles can cause anxiety, depression, addiction, and other mental health issues. It's highly recommended that people who are struggling seek help. And if anything in this presentation has rung anything along the lines and made you think like, wow, I really experienced that as a child. And I lean into these behaviors or these coping mechanisms. It may be due to your environmental factors that you had surrounding you as a child and developing into adulthood. Struggling is simply not necessary, as there are many ways to heal and recover from attachment disturbances. It's human nature to seek relationships, love, support, and comfort in others. The need to belong is one of the main forces that drive us. Please reach out to the McLean County ROSC when you are in the need of supportive and empathetic human connection. If we cannot be the ones to provide it for you, we will connect you with someone or an agency or entity that can. You are not alone. Some key takeaways from this presentation. We develop our attachment style based on our early interactions with our parents. So for instance, let's take a look at this image on the left-hand side. So positive model of others versus all the way down, you'll see in the middle, negative model of others. So let's take a look at the left-hand side, the positive model of others, and then also right below that first image on the left is positive model of self. When you have both of these on the Y and X axis, you're going to have a secure attachment as depicted in that first image on the left. Now let's take it over on the right-hand side. So if you have on the one axis positive model of others, but intersecting with a negative model of yourself, you can lean into some anxious tendencies. So now we're going to take it down to the bottom left-hand corner. So if you have that positive model of self, but then you have a negative model of others, you can have avoidant tendencies. Now we're going to take it all the way to the right-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner. If you have a negative model of yourself and a negative model of others, you could lean into a fearful attachment style. Beautiful thing about all of these attachment styles, the behavior is learned. It can be unlearned. The first step is bringing it to our awareness. So when those interactions go well, we learn our caregivers will help us when we feel upset, stressed, or have some other need. This makes us feel safe and secure. So we learned that we can feel safe and secure. That's missing in our childhood. We can scoop that back up and implement that into adulthood. All we need is that first step is awareness. So as we grow, those early interactions become our template for how we develop our relationships. Children who are able to develop secure attachments represent only 50% of the population. When you know your attachment style, then you can decide if learned behaviors are leading to successful and fulfilling relationships with others. If not, you can modify, change, or quit the behaviors that are not leading to satisfaction in your relationships. Remember, all behaviors are learned, they can be unlearned. Thank you for watching. This was a video on the different attachment styles that contribute to the development of our personalities and how we learn to interact with others. This webinar was created to bring awareness, that first step, and to motivate you to explore aspects that you have identified with. This is not a replacement for any type of mental health treatment. Please seek help from licensed clinicians when needed. Send us a message out at McLean County ROSC at chestnut.org if you have any questions, or if you want to be linked to any community supports. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, McLean County ROSC YouTube, and always hit us up on our Facebook page at www.facebook.com, McLean County Recovers.